quick question. Does the president believe he's above the law? And does he
No.
prefer to sit down with Kim Jong-un
I'll answer the
or
first.
after?
I'll answer the first question. No, go ahead.
Thank you. And then does he prefer to sit down with Kim Jong-un versus Bob Mueller?
I certainly think that the president feels like stopping a nuclear war and helping protect the safety and security of people across the globe would certainly be the #1 priority of the president of the United States. And certainly I would think would be the priority that most Americans would share and support the president doing. April?
Did Rudy Giuliani do harm to the president today and last night in his conversations to Fox?
I don't believe so.
Sorry,
I'm going to take the last question like I promised to do.
Why didn't he talk to the White House press office about his impacting stellar statements about what was happening? Everyone is on
The
this
White
stage.
House press office wouldn't coordinate with the president's outside legal team on legal strategy.
Blindsided. You said yourself you were blindsided.
I actually didn't use that term.
Well, I said it, but you were blindsided from what you said.
Well, with all due respect, you actually don't know much about me in terms of what I feel and what I don't.
21 years to understand how this operates.
All right, Jonathan.
When the president so often says things that turn out not to be true, when the president and the White House show what appears to be a blatant disregard for the truth, how are the American people to trust or believe what is said here or what is said by the president?
We give the very best information that we have at the time. I do that every single day and will continue to do that every day I'm in this position.
But the president, I mean, he when the story first happened, it came out that Ty Cobb would be leaving and Emmett Flood would be coming in. The president said fake news, said it was not true. When he talked about the prisoners in North Korea, he said the previous administration had been, failed to get them out. These two of them were taken prisoner while Donald Trump was president. And obviously the totally conflicting statements on the Stormy Daniels payment. And these are statements that are just not true.
When it comes to North Korea, I think you could also look at Otto Warmbier, who was detained during a previous administration, as was one of the current detainees. And so that would reflect the president's comments that he made. When it comes to the last instance that you mentioned, as Mayor Giuliani stated, this wasn't something that was initially known, but later learned. And again, we give the best information possible at the time, and we're going to continue to do that every single day.
He started paying back Michael Cohen back in February of last year. I mean, the reimbursement was happening long before the president was asked about this.
Is that a question or?
But I'm saying, I mean, how could he not have known? He was paying him back.
Again, I'm not going to get into those details, and I would refer you back to the statements, pretty lengthy statements made by Giuliani both last night and this morning, as well as the president's tweets where they've both spoken about that. Jim?
You said on March 7th there was no knowledge of any payments from the president, and he's denied all of these allegations. Were you lying to us at the time, or were you in the dark?
The president has denied and continues to deny the underlying claim. And again, I've given the best information I had at the time. And I would refer you back to the comments that you yourself just mentioned a few minutes ago about the timeline from Mayor Giuliani.
That statement,
Jeff.
but Sarah, that
Sorry, Jim,
statement was in reference to the reimbursement, the payment.
Again, I gave you the best information that I had. And
That means you were in the dark. You
the
didn't know. You
allegations,
didn't know at the time.
allegations, the president has denied and
Why
continues to
can't you
deny
just
the
answer
underlying
yes or no
claim.
whether you were in the dark? I think it's a fairly simple question whether you just
I think
didn't
it's a
have the
fairly simple
information
answer that
at
I've
the
given
time.
you actually several times now. I gave you the best information that I had, and I'm going to continue to do my best to do that every single day. Major.
Sarah, you said earlier that when you've given answers around this general topic, you gave us the best information you had at the time. Now it appears that your position is you're not going to comment because it's ongoing litigation. Have you been advised not to wade into this to protect yourself from any potential legal exposure by giving either false information or information that proves later not to be able to be withstood in court?
No, but I would always advise against giving false information. As a person of human decency, I do my best to give
But the point of Jonathan's question
correct
earlier, when
information.
you say before that you gave the best information you had at the time,
And I continue to do that today.
but it turns out not to be correct or accurate, are you then trying to limit the liability that you may encounter by not dealing with any of those questions now and pushing it all off because you say it's ongoing litigation?
Again, I'm giving the best information I have. Some information I am aware of and some I'm not. When I can answer, I will. But beyond that, I really don't have anything to add.
Let me ask you something that the mayor said last night, not related to the questions you've gotten so far. He said, he, meaning the president, fired Comey because Comey would not, among other things, say that he wasn't a target of the investigation. Is that the White House position now, explaining why James Comey was fired?
There are a number of reasons that James Comey was fired. The president's named several of them, but the bottom line is he doesn't have to justify his decision. The president has the authority to fire and hire, and I think every single day we've seen that he made the right decision in firing James Comey. Again, I think that there are a number of reasons that he was fired. Certainly, James Comey was fired for lying, leaking, and politicizing the FBI. And the president has been, I think, repeatedly, day after day, been proven to be exactly right in his decision to fire James Comey. Cecilia.
You just said that James Comey was fired for lying and leaking and politicizing. What did he lie about before he was fired, and what did he leak before he was fired?
There are a number of allegations, one in which he lied during congressional testimony and has been continually, I think, had a number of contradictions since then, which I pointed out that the president said he has learned every day since firing Comey that it was the right thing to do, and certainly has been justified in doing so. But again, going back to the president, frankly, doesn't have to have a justification. He can hire and fire whoever he wants, and he made the decision to fire James Comey, and that's certainly a decision he stands by and one that he feels very justified in since. Francesca?
Thank you, Sarah. When was the last time that the president talked to Michael Cohen? And is Michael Cohen still his attorney? And also, is the White House concerned, or is the president concerned, that any conversations he would have had with Michael Cohen would have been picked up by the wiretap that we learned about today?
Let me see if I can get all of those questions since there were quite a few altogether. I'm not sure when the last conversation took place. On the second part, I'm not aware of specific places where he's representing the president. And on the last one, I would refer you to the president's outside counsel about any concerns of wiretapping. That wouldn't be something that we would
clarify, when did you specifically know that the president repaid Mr. Cohen for the $130,000? You personally?
The first awareness I had was during the interview last night.
Sarah, yesterday the president threatened to get involved in the Justice Department if memos were not turned over in a timely manner to the House Intelligence Committee. What actions is the president considering taking, and what does a timely manner mean to the president? How soon does he want the unredacted version of the special counsel
Probably
memo?
yesterday. But in terms of what he might do, as the president likes to say, we'll see what happens. Olivia?
Thank you, Sarah. On the Haspel nomination, would you remind us what the president's position is regarding the potential use of interrogation tactics that meet international definitions of torture?
I'm not sure what those two things are you're trying to connect. I know that Acting Director Haspel has done everything appropriate under the law, and she's going to be a great CIA director, and we look forward to her being confirmed. John?
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Question on Russia. This morning, the Financial Times reported that Alexei Kudrin, a former close associate of President Putin and a strong advocate of warmer relations with the United States, may well be rejoining his government. This raises another question. You've said that the president would have a summit with Mr. Putin sometime in the near future. Can you give us any clues when that'll be? Has anything been determined on a possible Trump-Putin summit?
Nothing has been finalized on that front. I think the next big summit, if you will, I'll borrow your word, that the president will engage in will likely be between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. Beyond that, I don't have any updates.
There'll be no meetings. It's likely that there's no meetings with President Putin before the Kim-Trump summit.
Not that I'm aware of. Certainly nothing is finalized at this point, but certainly the president would still be very much open to sitting down with leader of Russia. Emerald?
Thank you, Sarah. Following up on Sagar's question, in regards to those memos and the congressional oversight, Rosenstein is saying this is extortion.
What is the White House's response to him calling it extortion? And does the president support the Freedom Caucus's articles of impeachment for Rosenstein?
The president would like to see the request of Congress to DOJ met. I haven't had a conversation with him about the articles of impeachment.